What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got a special one. We are predicting the 26-man roster ahead of the World Cup. With that being said, let's just get into it. Alright guys, the USMNT roster prediction. I don't want to waste anyone's time here. There's 26 players to make it, and a lot of these guys have already solidified themselves. So I have 18 guys who I already think are locked in, and let's go over there. Don't want to do a whole lot of explaining. In the goalkeeper position, we have Stefan, Turner, and Horvath. Right, these are the three goalies. I think they're locked in. Some people would say Sean Johnson. However, I don't think he'd make it to the World Cup unless one of these three got hurt. Now, in defense, I have Zimmerman. Remember, this is not my 26-man World Cup roster prediction. This is who I think Greg Berhalter is going to go with. This is me really trying to pick out the 26 players who are going to go. So we have Zimmerman. We have Aaron Long. I'm not a fan, but like I said, it seems like Greg Berhalter has him in a system locked in. We have Jedi or Anthony Robinson, DeAndre Yedlin, and Serginho Dest making up the other defenders who are locked in. In our midfield, we have Acosta. Now, Greg Berhalter just took him to the MLB All-Star game over in LA. They're best buds. I don't expect him to start, but he is a lock for the World Cup. Then we have Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Giovanni Reyna, Brendan Aronson, and Yunus Musa. This midfield is stacked. Going to our forwards, we have Christian Pulisic, Timothy Weah. Now, Jordan Morris definitely seems like a lock for that left wing spot to me for Greg Berhalter. Paul Arriola over on the right side. Now, I'm not a huge fan of him, but to me, it definitely does seem like he's the backup right wing. We've seen him in a lot of these recent camps in the World Cup qualifying. This tune-up camp against Uruguay, Morocco, and our two Nations League games. It seems like he's going to back up Timothy Weah. Unfortunate, but it is the way it is for right now. And so that is 18 players that I think are locked in for this World Cup. So obviously it's a 26-man roster, which leaves us with 8 spots left, right? We already have 3 goalkeepers, so we don't need a spot for them. We're going to have defensive players, midfield, and forwards. Now, traditionally, you get 23 players to go to World Cup, all competitions. That's how it's been. But because of COVID, they've added 3 more spots. So what I'm going to do is fill out a 23-man roster first, right? Go 2 deep in every position, which is what you usually get to do with the 23-man roster. You have your 3 goalkeepers, then in every other position, you have about 2 players. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to get 3 extra players to fill out what is now a 26-man roster for this World Cup. So to finish out the 23-man roster, we still need 2 more center backs, 2 more strikers, and then our backup left back. So let me start with that center back position. I think the first player is going to be Chris Richards. He just made his move over to Crystal Palace. Greg Berhalter is very keen on him. Some might already say, he's a lock. However, he has been hurt. He hasn't been able to make the last couple camps. So I have him as one of the center backs. Now, going to our other center back is also a player who has been playing very highly. I think Greg Berhalter is very keen on Cameron Carter-Vickers. So Cameron Carter-Vickers is going to be another center back that I think we bring into this camp. He was arguably the best player in the Scottish League last year, at least defender-wise. So I think he's very good. He'll be able to bring a lot of quality to this USA team. Now, going to our backup left spot, besides the striker, this is kind of the biggest hole we have. We obviously have Anthony Robinson, who's a very strong left back, but it's kind of like who can play underneath him. I've heard Greg Berhalter talk about how he wishes he can see more out of George Bello, Sam Vines. Obviously, Joe Scally was someone everyone liked. However, he did not perform very well in this last camp. So who is going to be the backup left back? Hot take, I actually don't think we're going to have a backup left back. I'm going to go with Reggie Cannon, who is traditionally another right back. Now, do I think he's going to play on the left side? No, that's not how I see it happening. But we have Anthony Robinson. Serginho Dest is obviously the starting right back, the way we see it, right? However, I think if there is a reason that Anthony Robinson is not going to play, I expect Anthony Robinson to be getting that left back position every minute of the World Cup possible. I think he would move Serginho Dest to that left side if something happened, and then maybe put DeAndre Yedlin to start or Reggie Cannon. So for those reasons, I'm actually going to have 3 right backs in this roster and only 1 left back. I just don't see a left back that Greg Berhalter is going to bring that he rates highly enough to take to this World Cup. So there we go. That's the end of our defensive roster. It was kind of like a 23-man roster. So now we're still looking for 2 strikers to kind of give us 2 players in each position. So the first striker, I think this one is kind of a lock with how much Greg Berhalter talks about playing a high press and stuff like that. It's obviously, or it's obvious that he really rates Jesus Ferreira. Now, the striker position is still wide open. Who could start? Who's going to be in form? No one's really solidified this spot. But just the way that Greg Berhalter is trying to play, it does seem like Jesus Ferreira is probably going to be one of the guys that go to the World Cup. He is an MLS player, which means if he doesn't make the playoffs or the MLS Cup, he's going to be out of form for about a month, which is also going to be a struggle and kind of hard to do. So who do I think the other striker is going to be? Now, this is someone that I rate highly. I expect him to be in form, and for those reasons, that's why I think Greg Berhalter is going to take Jordan Pefok. Jordan Pefok maybe doesn't fit the Greg Berhalter system when it comes to like pressing defenders a whole lot, so maybe he's not going to be a huge fan of him. But I can't really think of anyone else who really does press, at least what Greg Berhalter tries to say is his pressing forwards with the strikers and stuff like that. But I think Pefok is just going to be a goal scorer. We see him moving to Union Berlin. They play kind of a two-striker system, so maybe that is also something that doesn't help him a whole lot because Greg Berhalter is going to kind of want to see him in a system that he plays. But I just think he's a goal scorer. He's a threat, and I think he's going to have to be someone that Greg Berhalter takes to the World Cup when it is time. I don't know who else is going to be able to step up. Now, that is it. This is 23-man roster. However, we get 26 players because of the COVID edition. So now I'm going to add kind of 3 wild card spots. So the first one, Luca De La Torre. I think Greg Berhalter is very keen on him. He gave him some playing time in the end of some games. He was able to get that assist to Jordan Morris when subbed on in the last game of this last camp against El Salvador. Now, I don't really expect him to start. It is a very strong midfield that we have. Maybe he does get some game time for the World Cup, but I definitely do think he's going to be someone who gets the nod as kind of a wild card for this World Cup. Next is someone maybe is a little far-fetched pick. We've obviously seen Greg Berhalter kind of throw this man to the back, but I think we need another center back, and I just don't know who else it could be besides John Brooks. Greg Berhalter has talked about going 5 in the back sometimes for this World Cup, which makes me want to believe that you would probably take an extra center back because you don't want to just have 4 center backs, already have 3 of them on the field, and then not have a whole lot of options on the bench. Now, he could obviously go with Eric Palmer Brown, but I just cannot. I don't know. I just cannot see him wiping off Brooks. Brooks has already played in a World Cup. He has scored in a World Cup before. And I honestly think he's one of the best center backs we have. So maybe he doesn't fit the whole 2 center back system, but when we do go to 5 in the back, that's something John Brooks is more, I guess, adapted to. And so that reason is why I think John Brooks will end up making this World Cup roster. I know a lot of people want him to make the World Cup roster, don't really think he's going to make the World Cup roster. Greg Berhalter hasn't been high on him, but I do think that he will end up coming around. I think we needed that extra center back. So now this leaves us with one last spot for the World Cup. Who do I think it's going to be? Now, I have put him as a forward, Malik Tillman. He has newly committed to the USA. Now, he's not a great player, but I just think he'll be good to have because he can play in so many positions on the field. You can play him in left wing if something happens to Christian Pulisic. You can play him on the right side if something happens to Timothy Weah. I think you can throw him up top if we need someone who can score. He's going over to the Rangers. I think he'll be able to get in form, get a lot of game time. You can throw him into the midfield if something is needed with the midfield. I just like that he is such a flexible player. And so that is the big reason why now you're able to get some of these extra spots on the World Cup, get someone who can cover the whole field if something happens. So that is our 26-man roster. I kind of wanted to show the depth chart that I have Greg Berhalter playing. So this is another look at it, right? Obviously, the people you see with the faces in blue, that is my kind of starting 11 that I think Greg Berhalter is going to go with. So that gives us Matt Turner in the sticks, Chris Richards, Walker Zimmerman as the 2 center backs, Anthony Robinson as a left back, Serginho Dest as the right back, Adams, McKennie, and Aronson round out that midfield. We have Christian Pulisic on the left, Jesus Ferreira as the striker, and Timothy Weah on the right wing. Now, a lot of people would probably also say maybe Aaron Long starts on that left center back side, but I just think Chris Richards will really be able to show what he can do. He's making that Premier League signing. So I think he'll be able to earn that spot starting center back. Another one, Brendan Aronson. I know a lot of people are going to say Giovanni Reyna should start there. However, now you have Tyler Adams and Brendan Aronson playing on the same team in Leeds, right? So they're already going to be playing so much in club. I think it's going to be really hard not to put them get together for the USA. You can already see in these preseason games they're linking up. They have that natural link. They're going to be all the way from now until the World Cup playing together. So I think it's very hard to take Brendan Aronson out of that midfield with Tyler Adams, which is something that they're going to be getting used to at Leeds. Also, I do think Reyna could maybe be the backup on that right wing spot instead of Areola. I've heard Greg Berhalter talk about it, I believe, on Alexia Lawless's podcast about playing Reyna as maybe a right wing option if something were to happen to Weah, maybe even starting him at right wing. It kind of seems like that's a look he wants to give him. He does not believe in playing Reyna as that center forward. I know a lot of people kind of want to see Reyna or Aronson or even Weah play at that striker spot. Greg Berhalter has talked about how he doesn't want to experiment. So this is my starting 11. And then obviously you can kind of see who I have backed up in each position. The goalkeeper, we have Steven Horvath. The other center backs, we have Aaron Long, Brooks, Cameron Carter-Vickers. On the right back, as I said, I think we're going to have 3 right backs, only 1 left back. You have Yedlin and Cannon. And the midfield, you also have Acosta, Luca De La Torre, Giovanni Reyna, like I said, Yunus Musa. Then at the forwards, you have Jordan Morris, Malik Tillman, who are going to be backing up Christian Pulisic, Jordan Pifok as the backup striker, and Paul Areola as the right wing. So that is my 26-man roster prediction. I'm honestly very confident in this roster. As long as we can keep limited injuries, everyone is able to do what they're doing with their club, stay on form, and nothing crazy happens. I'm honestly really excited for this World Cup. This roster looks great. And yeah, that's my 26-man roster prediction.